everyone, and welcome to the Woman Who Inspires series. In this series, we speak to women who have gone through pain, but have pushed through that pain and come to be a much better person. We are going to learn about their emotional healing journey, and hopefully that will inspire you. The point of this series is not to blame or shame anyone or any situation, but it is really to speak about your journey through compassion, appreciating that the persons who may hurt us or the situations that may hurt us in our life is really giving us that push, that motivation, that strength to make us uncomfortable and grow even more on our spiritual journey. So today I am really excited to introduce my good friend and an amazing human being. Her name is April Smith. We call her April Smile Smith. And when she smiles, you will see why. April has been a Zumba educational specialist for 13 years. She is a spiritual guide, a certified yoga guide. She guides the collective through meditation and mindfulness for the soul. She has a master's in education with a focus on college student affairs leadership. To be in her space is to be in a space of healing, love, and peace. So welcome, April, to our series. Thank you so much for participating. Is there anything additional you would like to share before we talk about your story and your inspirational journey?
Thank you, Sreshtha. I am happy to be here as always and happy that you are doing this series, especially for Women's Month and for women that inspire. There's so much that we can learn from each other, and I'm just super happy that my dear friend is doing this series. So happy for you and happy for what will come from this. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, April. So as we are talking about your journey, your experience, so we are going to talk about April's experience, what she felt, how long it took her to process what is happening, as all we women go through these things and we don't really like to speak about it. But in speaking about it, we heal ourselves and we also inspire. So April, I would invite you to start sharing your story.
Awesome. Thank you. And as you all know, we have plenty of stories and experiences that we can share, right? So I'm going to touch on one that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is of my lovely, beloved, sweet mom. And she passed the transition from this world physically in April of 2020. It's oftentimes difficult to describe the experience. I can say it's an experience like no other. To be honest with you, I know it's about to be 2 years, right, Trish? But it still feels fresh and new. Like I'm still like, she's not physically here. And honestly, I still get ready to get on the phone to call her when something good happens or a good accomplishment happens because I'm so used to calling her. And her passing was very sudden. She was only 65. And my mom she exudes love. She's all about just making sure that everybody else is good. She wants people to just be happy. She was such a free spirit. I have like these visions because she used to own a horse. She used to own a horse, a black stallion. I forgot the name of it. And where we grew up before, she had me and my brother, was able to take her horse, and she would go because it would be at a stable. So she would rent out the stable as far as her horse, and the horse would be there. And she would just walk him down the main road where we grew up. It was called Central Avenue. And she loved animals. She loves the ocean. She loves water, hence my background. And she was just, it's so hard to describe her because, of course, we can all say, oh, my mom, was just so amazing. And there's so much more to her spiritually. I'm speaking more from a spiritual standpoint. And she was not afraid to be herself, unlike me. She was not afraid to be herself. She was just so extroverted in a way that she loved who she was. as a spiritual being she was. And everybody wanted to talk with her. Like in Zumba, we had the Zumba cruises. My mom went on one of them. It was her first cruise ever. And they all fell in love with her. Everyone would come over to me and say, oh my gosh, your mom is so beautiful. And her energy is so vibrant. Because my mom would dance, so it's where I get it from. She would dance. She would be the life of the party because people would just be in love with her. It's like her aura was just this positive, high vibration energy. That's my mom. Whereas I was shy in the background, but I would be happy because my mom is having so much fun and everybody would just love, being in her presence. And so that it's difficult again to not have her physically here, even though I know she's with me in spirit. That experience was very traumatic for me because when she passed, it was during the pandemic. Actually, the pandemic happened, I think, March of 2020, middle of April, she passed. And I had no one. It was like my world just closed. Right. And I had to shut off my emotions. It's almost like I was forced to shut off my emotions because I had to deal with the whole funeral arrangements. I had to be strong for my brother. I had to iron her clothes, the clothes that she was going to wear for her to have on in the casket. I had to get her things, and I couldn't reach everybody, because there were so many people, but I tried to reach so many people that I could to let them know because they just couldn't believe it, that it happened. And I had to do all of that, and I had to literally shut off my emotions. Now, there were moments that I was crying so much. I remember I was in my dad's basement because I didn't really have anywhere to stay. I mean, I was out of state from where her home was. So my dad, they're divorced. So I was in my dad's basement and I spent so much time down there. I laid out all of her pictures because I was putting a slideshow together. So I was on autopilot. And, I had some friends that were concerned because it was like, April, you need time to grieve. But there was no time for that at the moment for the whole year 2020 because I am divorced. So I have my 2 sons. I was driving back and forth between Virginia and Maryland, back and forth. And it was overwhelming. And honestly, I don't know how I made it through because it was just, I wouldn't put that on anyone. I've never dealt with, someone close to me passing like that, where then I had to make arrangements for the funeral and all of that. I've never done that before. And I don't put that on anyone because it was sudden, it was unexpected. And I'm so used to my mom being the independent person that she is and taking care of herself so well. I mean, sure, she fixed up her whole house. She removed the old flooring in the kitchen and in the front area of the entrance of the house and did it all herself. She remodeled her own bathroom, totally changed the painting, walls, all of that. And so I did not have time to grieve because I had no one to help me. People were in their homes. They weren't coming out. And unfortunately, I did not have family to support. I will say that my stepmom was very supportive as much as she could be because I wasn't allowing people in my space because I didn't expect anyone to really grasp how I was feeling from that experience because I was not there. So there was a lot of guilt. I didn't have time to grieve, but the guilt was there because I was not there when it happened. She was by herself in her home and my younger brother found her. And so all of that guilt came up for me, but I'm having all of the guilt as I'm on autopilot, going through the admin, coordinating everything during a pandemic where stuff just shut down. So I felt like I went into autopilot as well on mustering up just enough strength to get through it. And it was just me. And I felt like she was there. I felt like she was still there there were moments where I really felt her presence. And it was just like, I know, April, you are okay. I'm gonna make sure you get through it. So, and I was like, okay, Mom. And so even though it was so devastating, that was such a devastating, traumatic experience. I would say that is the most traumatic experience that happened in my entire life journey, that I just started going into grief probably sometime in 2021, you know. So it was a very devastating experience, needless to say. I love her so much. I always adored her, admired her for the vibrant spirit that she is. I think of The Colors of Love. That's a series I'm going to do in a book and all of that. And it's in honor of her. So it brings me back to that. And that's what makes me smile. It's just her and what she embodied as far as pure love and peace, because that was my mom. So
yeah, that situation is so relatable because for many persons, luckily my parents are still alive, but I remember the first death I had to deal with, which was my grandfather. I didn't have to do a lot of what you had to do, but I felt the same thing. You're on autopilot until the day of the funeral, and so I'm Hindu. We have a lot of things that happen, and it was only after that I didn't eat for 4 days. When he died, I cried for 4 days. The day after the funeral, I was still crying. And there are so many things that we go through as humans when you really lose somebody you love, and somebody who, as you described, they exude so much love, being a free spirit and loving animals, and you just having to get everything in place and not deal with your grief. So how long would you say, or how did you eventually process that grief, and what did you do in order to get through that grief?
So this is going to be interesting, because it's not going to be a typical answer.
That's okay.
Yeah. So I'll start with this. I went into depression, of course. I mean, naturally, I went into depression. I went into a dark state, as in I didn't want to talk with anybody because I did not feel that people could empathize, could support. And I wouldn't even say stressed. That was beyond stress. That was me telling my mom, there's no point in me being here now. And yes, I know I have my sons and everything, but as you're going through this experience with your mom who you grew up with, who you had a very close relationship with, I just told her numerous times, probably for about almost a year, since April of 2020, I said, just let me come and be with you. I see no need to be here in this place anymore because the world is cruel. I mean, my mom was just taken advantage of. So, like I said, she passed unexpectedly, suddenly, but she did so much for people, and they in turn took advantage of that. And I was angry. I was angry because here was this beautiful, loving spirit that was willing to do so much and sacrifice so much for other souls. And I feel like they just basically crapped all over her, just crapped all over her, and just didn't recognize all that she gave and all that she sacrificed. So, that anger was coming up. I wouldn't say bitterness. It was just a lot of anger. And so I wanted to be away from humanity. I didn't want to be around human beings because I just felt that she was done so wrong. I'm not saying by all humanity, but she was just done wrong by so many human beings that it was like, why? And then why did she have to go? Why her, when she wasn't able to really live the beach life and the island life that she wanted to do after retirement? Instead, she spent her time after retirement taking care of other people. So why for her to be not here physically anymore? So I didn't want answers. That was just part of my expressing. That was part of my anger. And I just went incognito. I didn't want people to know where I was. And I'm pretty good at that. When I want to be to myself, I'm not going to tell you where I am because I don't feel that you care. That was my, mood and my state of mind back then. And, I went to a little bit of counseling, but counseling is not for me because I feel like naturally I'm already the counselor, healer, coach. And yes, I know you need the help and support, but the counseling wasn't really helping much because what was given to me as far as the help, I already knew. So it wasn't, anything new, and it didn't help me.
Yeah, so you said your answer wasn't typical, right? But we all go through these things. Being in a dark place and you didn't feel people would empathize us. That's one of the things we go to when, like, I'm an introvert and I know you're introverted too. When we don't think people would understand us, we just kind of, well, I would just speak for myself. I just kind of stay in my room. And I even had the same thought as you in respect of why you're here when my grandmother and my aunt died within a few days of each other, and they were really the two people who I felt loved me most in this world. I felt the same thing, like, why am I here if everybody who has genuinely authentically loved me has left? So, and this is part of the series too, right? Because we think that what we think and what we go through is only us. We are going through it alone and nobody else is thinking or feeling this, but other people are thinking and feeling it too. So, sorry, you wanted to say something else?
Well, I was going to say the non-typical answer, sure. So the non-typical answer to your question is how I think you asked how I processed it, how I was, how right. So that whole depression, being in a dark state, not wanting to be here anymore. I mean, I literally had thoughts of just like, okay, I could just end my life, so all of that, those thoughts and feelings, because I just didn't see any purpose for me. I felt like I didn't deserve to be here anymore. I mean, this woman took care of me. She did above and beyond to take care of me. Even currently as an adult, she did so much to take care of me. She was always there more than anyone. Anyway, so I tried the counseling. I even tried this. There was a group coaching session for people that were dealing with grief. I did that. And it was that was 2021, maybe around springtime. And I was still grieving. So as I'm in this group, I'm grieving, but then I'm still taking care of things. There's still stuff to take care of. I handle my mom's estate and all of that. So I'm still doing all of that, but now I'm finding myself getting into the grieving process. And I'm in the group session I had, was group sessions. And we were in the group, and honestly, whatever the question was, I can't remember. I just remember saying, you know what? I'm just tired of feeling this way. And I'm like, if I'm going to be here physically, then I may as well do whatever the mission is, because I knew that my mom was telling me, you're not done. You can't, it's not time for you yet. You're not done. There's a mission that needs to take place for you. And so it was just in one of the group sessions. We had like it was a 6-week session. It was one of the group sessions where I was just like, I'm just tired. I'm tired of feeling like this. I don't want to feel this misery. I don't want to feel this pain. I don't want to feel this sadness. I don't want to feel like I'm just always alone and people cannot understand. I am so tired of this. So I just choose to not be tired anymore. I choose to go further and dive further into my spiritual journey. I was already working on my spiritual journey probably around, I started 2016. So I'm like, okay, I just need to go deep, go all in, do the inner work, because I know that I have free will and I have the choice to not be sad. As much as this, I cannot bring her back here physically. If I could, I would, but that's not going to happen. So since that's not going to happen, April, then what do you want to do? See, I'm the type of person, for me, I don't have a problem going within, doing the inner work, as hard as it is. We call it shadow work, right? When you're dealing with all you're dealing with, especially with traumatic experiences. I don't have a problem of asking, okay, if you don't want to feel this way, then what do you need to do to take yourself out of it? Because at the end of the day, you're the one that's accountable, you alone. Nobody can do this for you. The only person that can do this for you is you. So if that's the case, and I know this to be true, then what am I going to do? All right, let me get back into my meditation. Let me get back into my yoga, because I'm, being a certified yoga instructor and I have my own program. So let me do some of what I usually teach in my program. Let me do some of that for me. And let me do the breath work, because the breath work helped tremendously. So I just went back to what I know will help me, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that. And so I woke up in my group session, sure, and and I was like, I'm just tired of it. I'm in my 40s. I don't want to keep staying in this, guilt and this grieving. I don't mind the healing because I feel like healing is ongoing. So let me move into the healing process. Let me not stay in this guilt, because guilt will take you out. I felt a lot of guilt from my mom's passing because I wasn't there. She was by herself. And that is that's so much guilt that I put on me. That's so much that I was like, you're a horrible daughter. You failed miserably. She was there for you all this time. And the one time that she needed you, you weren't there. I was going through my divorce and all of that. There was so much happening. I was sick a lot and I didn't make it out there to her, and she passed. So I feel this guilt. April, you're just a horrible daughter. You didn't do everything that you needed to do to be there for her and to comfort her. So all of that was going on in my mind. And I was like, okay, well, if I keep staying in this guilt, I'm just going to just keep staying into this deep abyss of this black hole that's just going to keep being dark. I don't want to be in that, because obviously there's a mission for me. My soul has a mission. So I started switching my thought process, right? And I started thinking about the good memories with my mom, and I started having more conversations with her. Okay, Mom, I know I'm still here for a purpose. So come on, help me out here. Let me know what I need to do. Show me some signs. I feel like everything is a message. And so since I made that decision in 2021, I honestly, Srish, I feel more love now than ever. And I just want love for people, even for the people that, I have problems with, or that do me wrong or taken advantage. It doesn't matter. I just want love, because I don't want to stay in that misery and that sadness anymore, because we have free will and we have the choice.
Wow, thank you so much. You spoke about so much. So first of all, I just want to honor you for letting yourself go through the emotions, because a lot of time we look for ways to spin out of it. And in doing that, the process might be shorter, but then we don't really learn and process what is really going through. And we don't come to the realization of where this emotion is getting us. And you took the tools that you knew, your healing and your meditation, in addition to reaching out into the coaching, which is what helped you, and doing that work as well within that group. And then at the point where you had the realization that you are tired and you just need to move on, again, you honored yourself, you honored your mom, you spoke to her and dealt with it in your own authentic way. And then you realize, okay, you need to start shifting your thought process, shifting how you think. And now you're even honoring her, even though you had that guilt of not being there when everything happened, which is life. We never know what would happen. And things happen not in the most ideal way, but you are still able to honor her now by feeling all the love around her. And you are also talking about doing a book and other things in her memory to honor her life and what she gave. So I find it's so powerful, not only that you let yourself go through that grief, and you are brave enough to even speak about difficult things like not wanting to be here, and being depressed and feeling so much pain, which so much of us go through. In your case, it was about a year or a little more than a year. But I'm glad that you were at that point where you understood that, okay, my emotions have helped me understand that I can't continue like this, and I am of worth to the world. I have a mission and I have a message. And you are taking action on delivering on that mission, because you could have the realization and still say, nah, that's too hard. But you are taking action and you are bringing so much love and peace into the world. So April, before we end, do you have any closing message to women on emotional healing and how to deal with going through these things such as grief?
Yes, absolutely. It's not easy, yet we make it hard. We sabotage ourselves. We do that self-infliction. And I'm sure we all can relate, from our own experiences. We can relate to that. We can agree that, yes, we are our own worst self-inflicted, self-sabotaging. And my advice based on all of these personal experiences that I've been through is to not keep it bottled up and not hold it in. Srish, I know you and I, we're both being introverts. We're used to holding it in. And now I find myself, I'm still a private person. I will tell the audience here that I find myself just being more transparent, and the more transparent and vulnerable I am, and that's part of being more open and expanding with my heart as far as love. When we're more transparent, when we're more vulnerable, then we become more powerful. We're able to tap into our power. I've tapped into a power I guess was dormant. It was dormant. Your power is always going to be dormant so long as you just suppress it. So long as you just suppress it for others. You can't allow your dependence on others, you're depending on others to be the answer. The answer is you. As you become, when you become self-aware, more self-aware, when you have more self-realization, you will gain more clarity, and you'll be like, wait a minute, that power was already within me for so long, it was just dormant. Now it's waking up. So my power started waking up in 2021 when I decided I'm tired of this. I don't want to be in this. And I was like, wait a minute, I choose my destiny. I choose to create my reality because I am my own creator. Yes, for whether we believe in God, higher power, divine source, the most high. Yes, I believe in universe and all of that. I also believe that we're given power to self-realize, to have self-awareness, and to see that the answers are within. I don't need to rely on someone else, or I don't need to get permission from someone else. You give yourself, you be the authority over your life. This is where we talk about self-sovereignty, being self-sovereign. A lot of us are not aware of what true freedom is. We've been given a watered down version of freedom. True freedom is that sovereignty where you are self-governing you. You are coming and waking up to who you are and knowing that that is a powerful being, and the answers are within. Whatever works for you, because meditation works for me, sitting with myself, doing the inner work. We have to do the inner work. As difficult as it may be for some of us, especially as women, as difficult as that may be, it has to be done in order for you to let that power from you exude. That's part of your aura, is that power that you have within you, the answers you have within you, and you alone. You have the power to say, okay, I'm going to tap into my power. I am going to live the life that I desire, and I'm going to do what I want to do and what feels good to me, what feels right, because I can. We shouldn't be held back. We shouldn't be holding ourselves back from truly living a peaceful, loving, and happy life that's full of bliss and joy. So.
Yes, I totally agree. And I love the way you summed it up. The answer is you, and it comes from within. So thank you so much, April, for contributing to our series and being a woman who inspires on so many levels. If you are interested in April's work and what she has to offer, I am going to have all of her information down below. She does a lot of work on various platforms. She even has her own podcast. So if you're interested in those things, I will send you to her website, and you can always contact her using her contact form. And you will be within her space, which, as you can tell, is full of love, healing, and peace. So this is Sreshtha Tiwari for the Woman Who Inspires series.